Hello and welcome to the January update from Pennyhill Junction. So what you're seeing on the screen now, it's not an illusion, it's not a Photoshop image, it is genuinely Pennyhill Junction. Yes, that's right. So finally, just over a year after starting this project, we have our first Backscene boards up and in place at the east end of the layout. So firstly, I must apologise for the delay in providing a January update. As you know, my last update in December, just before Christmas, my plans were during the holiday period. I had 10 days off work. I was hoping I would get quite a lot done during that time. However, on Boxing Day, I came down with this dreaded cold and flu, which has been doing the rounds, and I was pretty much out of action until New Year's Eve. And before you know it, it's back to work. It's been very busy since I've been back at work. So the progress I planned to make between Christmas and New Year just really didn't happen. However, in the last week or so, I've managed to purchase the Backscene boards, also the wood to construct the frames to support the Backscene boards, and finally, so this weekend, I've managed to apply the ID Backscenes onto the boards, and as you can see from the image in front of you, the effect it gives, and just gives such a change to the layout and really does bring it to life. So in this month's update, I'll give you a little bit of an insight into the work that I've carried out on constructing the Backscene board. Also, with some of the leftover hardwood I had, and plus some of the framework, I've managed to make a start on constructing my first point switch panel for the station area. So I'll give you say an update on how that's going. And also, one of the things that's progressing this month is I have a rough track plan for my diesel maintenance depot. And actually this weekend, as it's payday weekend, just purchased the new track and points to go into the diesel maintenance depot. So hopefully within the next week or two, I'll have that track down. So for February's update, you'll be able to see the diesel maintenance depot, hopefully in all its glory. Okay, so starting with the new Backscenes, so literally just recently installed this weekend. You'll perhaps see there is still a few bubbles in the Backscene where it hasn't fully dried out yet. But I have to say, yes, so this is an ID Backscene 15-inch Hills and Dales, I think section B. And it really does work well on this side of the layout. So this is going to be a very rural area of the layout. And I think this Backscene will fit just perfectly. So the Backscene boards themselves are made of 5.5mm hardwood ply. Shortly I'll take you around the back of the layout so you can see the construction of the supporting frame. You may see that there's a gap between the actual baseboard itself and the start of the ID Backscene. The reason I've done that is the whole of this east end section will have an elevated section which will be around about 100mm high. So track level should be about where my finger is. So all of this, if I'd have used the full 15 inches on the baseboard, on the Backscene board, sorry, I would have lost quite a large section of that foreground. So I've just raised it. I've raised this actually by 90mm. So track level, so it'll be another 10mm up. So we still retain a lot of the foreground. Okay, so here we are around the back of the layout, behind the Backscene boards. And as you can see, similar to my baseboards, I've sort of gone all out on ensuring that there's plenty of support. And it's well braced. It's not going anywhere. You see how I've attached it here. You can see it's just been screwed in to the baseboard frame. One in the corner there, one there, and also that section there. So it is actually 3 Backscene board sections. So one there, and we have the middle section there, and another section at the end. And what I've also done to link not only to link the sections together, but to ensure that it's a solid fix, and there's a minimal gap between each section at the front, trying to make the actual Backscene appear as seamless as possible. I've sort of linked the two together with a little piece of the wood here, again to sort of keep it solid and in place. As I say, this lot won't be going anywhere now. However, what's quite good about this design is if I ever decide I want to change the Backscene board, the Backscene itself, or make any adjustments, or just want to get into the corners, this layout for scenery, I only have to unscrew those fixings there at the bottom, and the Backscene boards will come away. As you I'm over here, so you get a very rare sight of the full size of the layout. So for those of you interested in knowing how I applied the Backscene onto this board, as many of you may know, ID Backscenes do a self-adhesive Backscene. This isn't. This is the 180 gram card Backscene, which I've applied. So there was a requirement for some obviously preparation of the hardwood prior to applying the Backscene itself. So all I did to prepare the Backscene board itself was just to give it a layer of PVA, leave that to dry for about 24 hours, lightly sanded it down to ensure that the surface was smooth again. On each of the edges I placed down actually some double-sided carpet tape. I think it's about 50mm wide. One, it helped to sort of kickstart the rolling out of the Backscene, but also it will prevent, say, the edges from curling up at any point. So if it's very sort of solid double-sided adhesive tape, which it should be if it's obviously designed for carpets. So some of this I took from a recent video from Junction. So Junction has recently installed ID Backscenes right across his new layout. So a lot of the process that he demonstrates in his most recent video is what I've applied here on mine, with relative success. Now, unfortunately, as well as this has gone so far, there is some minor imperfections, which I'm hoping I'm able to rectify. I mean, we'll look at the first gap here, and I'm just very pleased with this. I say the board is as close as it's going to get. It's very well lined up, but the problem I seem to have, I don't know whether it's the cutting of the Backscene board hasn't been straight, or I know that as much as I tried to keep my baseboards level, the loft itself, the unevenness of the loft itself made it a real struggle. And you can actually see as we pan from left to right, you'll see in order to keep the backscene itself level, I've actually had to rise up at one end the board to keep everything as lined up as near as possible. Unfortunately, this one, I say, isn't quite as well lined up as on the other side, but I say it was very difficult to raise that side anymore without coming too far away again from the baseboard. I say so. There's a couple of minor imperfections there. Again, one of the things that is fairly common with these back scenes is the bubbles. I tried to avoid some creases. I think I may have one there which I might not be able to clear. So these were only stuck on last night, so they may still be drying out. So I'm hoping that they will disappear over the coming days. I did receive a suggestion to use sort of like a very fine pin, just to sort of pop a hole in some of these air bubbles. So I've done that sort of in the last hour. So hopefully over the next 24-48 hours we might see some of those blemishes start to disappear. But for a very first attempt at not only applying a backscene but installing a backscene board, I'm very pleased. Okay, so moving on to sort of next mini project. So I put this together using some of the offcuts from the construction of the backscene board. So similar to the backscene board, this top surface is just 5.5mm hardwood ply, and again I've constructed this using some of the framework. So it is simply a box that I've constructed, which is just the right size to fit an A4 sheet. This is not the sheet I'll be using. I'll probably get it printed on card and then fixed down in a way similar to what I've just done with the backscene board. And then at some point, again, I need to drill the holes into each of the points so I can then fix the switches. And then the plan is once all my point motors are done, I'll be able to fit all the wiring into the back there, and at some point this will then fix on to the side of the layout with screws into the side of the baseboard. What I'm also going to have underneath, once the wiring is in place, is these will sit underneath the board, and then we'll connect as well to the baseboard frame, again just to provide some extra support. So that's something I'll continue to work on over the next couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll be able to at least get my first point motor switch, which I've showed you a number of times, which I've just got, again, still just sitting there loose at the moment. So I'll hopefully get that one in place before the next video update. That will go there. So that's the switch for that point there. But now that I have the control panel, and once it's in place, I can then start progressing right through this whole station area. And I say in the next 4 to 6 weeks, hopefully I'll have a fully functioning point switch panel for operating all the paintwork, all the point work at Pennyhill Junction station. But before I do that, my plan for next weekend, and perhaps progressing to the weekend after, will be to lay the new track and point work for my diesel maintenance depot. So this is my rough plan, just using some spare track, obviously using some of the Pico track plans there, feel this really does work well. You can see the route coming off of the station into the depot, go off to the right for a 2-lane fuel point, carry straight on into what is likely to be a single lane or single road maintenance shed. This lane will literally just be for storage sidings. This will be the head shunt, and then coming into here will be a two road maintenance shed. And the plan is, as I do, for this depot to be primarily DRS, direct rail services. Some of you may know from my most recent videos, particularly when I make the fleet videos, that I have started a sort of collection of DRS with 2 of the 68s, one there, a 37, and another 68 there. And I've also got some other DRS models currently on back order. Another 37, a DRS class 57, a class 20, and at some point I'll be looking at a DRS class 66. So all the new track has been ordered this weekend. So for the next update in February, all the track should be fixed down, and hopefully we'll have all this diesel stock in the new home. And so my final update for this month is in relation to sort of Trackside Accessories. So from one of my previous videos, I think we're probably going back about 3 or 4 months now, I made a start over here just by Old Dean Common Depot. I made a start on some ballasting. I was just keen to have a go, you know, apply some of the methods I've learned from other YouTubers, just have a go at it myself and see how it came out. So very pleased with the end result. As you can see, there is a lot of track around the layout that still needs to be done, so it's going to take quite some time. But before I really progress further on in the layout, you know, I need to make sure that I get a lot of the sort of line side accessories down first before I ballast. And one of those things that I need to get down first is the cable trunking. So what I've recently done is purchased two different types of cable trunking. So I have one of the wheels kits here, and I'll also purchased this kit from, you can see in there in the light, it's 10 Commandments. But what I found quite astonishing really was the difference in size, considering both of these are 00 scale, so 1/76 scale. You can see the difference in size of both these kits. So this one here is the wheels kit, and there we go, in comparison, the 10 Commandments kit. Now what I do like about the 10 Commandments kit is there's a bit more variety to the kit. You can see there's some with the missing lids, and they actually provide accessories in there. So with some of the sort of junctions, both the sort of corner sections and the sort of T-junction sections, as well as lids. So you can actually have a lid which is partly hanging off, or perhaps just laying to the sort of side of the trunking, to help give it a more sort of prototypical look. But I was quite keen to see how they compared with each other next to a track and next to a loco, for example, to see which one was sort of more prototypical and perhaps more correctly to scale. So again, if I come back across to the area in which I ballasted, you'll see the two together side by side, and there is quite a significant difference. So I have discussed this already on social media. I think majority are in agreement that on the left there, the grey cable trunking from 10 Commandments is a more prototypical size. But also some people say, yeah, cable trunking does come in different sizes. But for me, my preference here is the 10 Commandments kit, the one on the left. So I'm going to purchase a lot more of that and then make a start at laying that down. Again, all in preparation for the eventual job of ballasting the entire layout. Okay, so that's it for this month. I'm very pleased to finally have a section of the layout backscened, and yeah, look forward now to progressing around the other 3 sections of the layout. But next month, as I mentioned, is going to be about focusing on the diesel maintenance depot, getting the track laid there, finish off the construction of the control panel, and start installing the switches and more of the point motors. So until next time, happy modelling, and bye for now.